People love to say rumors are Hollywood's favorite dish, publicly condemned, yet secretly devoured by everyone. In the world of R&B, black legends were surrounded by chilling whispers, shadowy parties, forbidden relationships, and secrets no one dared to speak out loud. For years, the public dismissed it all as tabloid lies, until fragments of truth began surfacing, one by one. Artists who once sang passionately about love were later revealed to be living in isolation, trapped by addiction and obsessed with fame, hiding lives they never wanted exposed. Society labeled it disgraceful, but to them, it was simply the cost of standing in the spotlight, a light so blinding it revealed even the darkest corners. In today's video, we uncover 21 disturbing rumors about black R&B legends that were once dismissed as fiction, but ultimately proved to be true. Rick James, a punk-funk icon whose mansion became a nightmare of drugs and violence. He was the rebellious king who defined 1980s music with wild fashion, an explosive persona, and provocative anthems like Super Freak. Rick James sold the world the image of a lawless rock star fueled by sex, excess, and cocaine. Even then, no one imagined the reality would be far more disturbing. Fame and fortune transformed him into an unchecked force who believed every boundary existed to be shattered. By the early 1990s, as his career began to collapse, dark whispers crept through Hollywood. Rick James wasn't just using drugs, he was becoming violent, twisted, and dangerous, especially toward women. Rumors spread that he had turned his home into a drug den, luring women inside, forcing them to use narcotics, and subjecting them to brutal abuse. At first, many dismissed it as exaggeration, another myth attached to his infamous super freak lifestyle. Then came 1992. Everything unraveled when Los Angeles police raided Rick James' home. Inside, they found a young woman held captive and savagely tortured. The revelation sent shockwaves across America. Investigators uncovered that Rick James and his girlfriend had imprisoned and abused the victim for days while high on cocaine. The horror confirmed what people had feared all along. The rumors were true. In 1993, Rick James was convicted of kidnapping, assault, and torture involving two separate women. His 3-year prison sentence sealed his downfall. Overnight, his reputation was obliterated, and his name became synonymous with corruption and cruelty. Experts later suggested that childhood trauma, combined with severe cocaine addiction, fueled a warped need for control that exploded into violence. Rick James' story ended in tragedy. He lost his freedom, his career, and the respect of the music world that once celebrated him. His cruel irony remains unforgettable. A man who created music about freedom and rebellion ultimately became a prisoner of his own darkness. Sam Cooke, shot dead in a motel, his legacy forever entangled with sex and violence. He is remembered as the romantic king of soul, the man whose silky, tender voice helped shape the very foundation of soul and R&B. With effortless charm and elegance, he crafted the image of the perfect lover, adored by women of every race. Through timeless love songs like Wonderful World, Sam Cooke became one of the first black artists to build a powerful, independent career inside a white-dominated music industry, rewriting the rules of success. But on the night of December 11, 1964, a shocking story shattered that flawless image. Sam Cooke was dead, shot and killed. Not on stage under bright lights. Not inside a glamorous mansion. But inside a rundown Los Angeles motel. Rumors spread like wildfire. Cooke was allegedly drunk, half-naked, and running through the motel after a sexual encounter with a prostitute. Fans around the world felt stunned, disgusted, and betrayed. Overnight, the image of the soulful romantic collapsed. The horror deepened when the official police report was released. According to authorities, Cooke was shot by the motel manager after violently breaking into her office. Reports stated he was nearly naked and had earlier attacked a woman named Elisa Boyer. The narrative was devastating. The King of Soul had not died as an innocent victim, but at the center of one of the darkest sex and violence scandals in soul music history. His death was no tragic misunderstanding. It was the final consequence of reckless behavior that permanently destroyed his idealized image. Sam Cooke's death split his legacy in two. While later activists attempted to frame the case as racial injustice, the shadow of his uncontrolled lifestyle never disappeared. Some analysts argue his womanizing reflected a need for dominance and control in a racially segregated industry, using sex as a form of power where other doors were closed. Sam Cooke's greatest tragedy is this. He sang "A Change Is Gonna Come," helped change music forever, yet could not escape the destructive instincts that ultimately ended his own life. Miles Davis. Miles Davis, the jazz titan, the visionary, the myth, was also a man haunted by violence and a brutal cocaine addiction. As one of the greatest innovators in modern music, he reshaped jazz again and again, defining entire eras with his cool detachment, razor-sharp intellect, and unmistakable style. On stage, he seemed untouchable, elegant, controlled, and godlike. To the Black community and the music world at large, Miles Davis represented brilliance and dignity. But behind the legend, his private life was steeped in darkness. During the height of his career in the 1960s and 1970s, unsettling whispers began to circulate. Stories surfaced claiming that the jazz pioneer was deeply addicted to drugs and violently abusive toward the women in his life. Allegations pointed to repeated assaults on wives and lovers, including actress Cicely Tyson and dancer Frances Taylor. Fans refused to accept it. They clung to the music, choosing admiration over disbelief. Many dismissed the accusations as envy or malicious gossip, yet an uneasy tension followed Miles wherever his name was spoken. Years later, the truth emerged, not from tabloids or courtroom drama, but from Miles himself. In Miles, the autobiography, published in 1989, he delivered a chilling confession. With little emotion or excuse, Davis admitted to years of cocaine addiction and to physically abusing the women he loved, especially Frances Taylor and Cicely Tyson. His blunt, almost detached tone stripped away any remaining doubt. The rumors were no longer rumors, they were facts. Those revelations permanently fractured Miles Davis's legacy. On one side stands an undeniable musical genius who changed the sound of the 20th century. On the other, a man capable of cruelty, control, and destruction. Many analysts believe his violence and addiction were fueled by deep insecurity and an obsessive need for dominance, perhaps a warped response to powerlessness in a racially segregated industry that exploited his talent while limiting his freedom. Miles Davis left behind a towering artistic legacy, but it remains forever stained by the darkness he never fully escaped. Chuck Berry, the rock and roll pioneer whose music defined youth, freedom, and rebellion. As one of the most influential artists of the 20th century, his electrifying performances and timeless anthem, "Johnny Be Good," helped give birth to an entirely new genre. He was celebrated as the father of rock and roll, a symbol of liberation and raw creative energy. But behind that legendary image, something far darker was taking shape. By the late 1980s, after Berry opened a restaurant in Wentzville, Missouri, disturbing whispers began to surface. What started as rumors soon took on a more sinister tone. People claimed Berry wasn't just a notorious womanizer. They alleged he had turned his restaurant into a secret surveillance operation. According to these reports, hidden cameras had been installed in the women's restroom, capturing unsuspecting customers for his own twisted gratification. The accusations sparked disgust, yet many fans clung to hope, believing the stories were nothing more than an attempt to tear down a living legend. That hope shattered in 1990. A group of women filed lawsuits against Chuck Berry, triggering a police investigation that would expose the truth. When authorities searched his home and properties, they uncovered hundreds of videotapes, undeniable evidence of women secretly filmed while using the restroom. The rumors were no longer rumors. The betrayal was real. Although the case was eventually settled out of court with a massive fine, the damage was irreversible. Berry's reputation, once untouchable, was permanently scarred. His legacy, especially within the Black community, was deeply tarnished by the confirmation of his criminal behavior. Analysts later suggested that the secret filming reflected a disturbing need for control and dominance, a perverse extension of power exercised through exploitation. Chuck Berry left behind a towering musical legacy, but it remains forever entangled with an unsettling truth. His story stands as a chilling reminder: artistic freedom does not guarantee moral integrity, and genius on stage can coexist with darkness behind the scenes. Ray Charles. Ray Charles, the blind genius who helped shape modern soul, was a man of staggering talent and devastating contradictions. With his raw, aching voice and revolutionary piano style, he transformed pain into beauty, crafting the image of a tortured romantic who felt the world through sound. But behind the brilliance and charm lurked a private life ruled by excess, addiction, and betrayal. At the height of his fame in the 1950s and 1960s, whispers followed him everywhere, two rumors so disturbing they threatened to shatter his legend. Insiders claimed Ray Charles was deeply addicted to heroin for years, and that he regularly slept with members of his own female choir, the Rialettes, even while married. Fans dismissed the talk as exaggerated tales of a womanizing artist, choosing to protect the myth over the man. Then the truth came crashing down. In 1965, Ray Charles was arrested on drug charges in Boston, where he confessed to a heroin addiction that had consumed more than 15 years of his life. Soon after, former Rialettes like Margie Hendricks broke their silence, revealing secret affairs and even children, confirming that the rumors were painfully real. His infidelity with the women who toured beside him daily exposed just how chaotic his personal world had become. These revelations cast a long shadow over his legacy. Some analysts believe Ray turned to drugs and sex to fill the emotional void left by losing his sight, using pleasure and control as substitutes for what he could not see. Ray Charles remains a musical giant, but also a haunting reminder that extraordinary genius can coexist with uncontrollable, self-destructive impulses. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye, one of Motown's greatest legends, met a horrifying end when he was shot dead by his own father. Celebrated for his silky voice and socially conscious masterpieces, Marvin crafted the image of a sensitive romantic and a fearless artistic truth-teller. Yet behind the brilliance, his life was plagued by chaos, addiction, and deeply disturbing rumors that followed him to the grave. In his final years, drowning in debt and battling substance abuse, Marvin moved back into his parents' home. That return marked the beginning of an unsettling chapter. Whispers spread through show business of intense domestic turmoil and an uncomfortably close bond between Marvin and his stepmother, Alberta Gaye. Some claimed the relationship crossed emotional boundaries, fueling grotesque speculation that shocked even those familiar with Hollywood excess. The rumors were so disturbing that many refused to believe them, dismissing them as cruel exaggerations born from a toxic household. What was undeniable, however, was the growing hostility between Marvin and his father, Marvin Gaye Sr., a rigid, domineering man who had terrorized his son throughout childhood. Jealousy, resentment, and decades of unresolved rage fermented inside that home. On April 1, 1984, just one day before Marvin's 45th birthday, everything exploded. After a violent family argument, Marvin Gaye Sr. pulled the trigger and killed his son. While the official cause was years of accumulated tension, family members later acknowledged the existence of disturbing emotional entanglements and lavish gifts Marvin gave his stepmother, details that only deepened the tragedy. Whether rumor or reality, these allegations intensified the narrative of jealousy and hatred that ultimately ended his life. Psychologists suggest Marvin's self-destructive behavior reflected lifelong trauma, sexual compulsions, and fury rooted in childhood abuse. His actions became a twisted form of rebellion, an attack on the authority that had broken him. Marvin Gaye left behind an immortal musical legacy, forever shadowed by family trauma and a death as tragic as it was unimaginable, killed not by the streets, but by the man who gave him life, James Brown. James Brown, the godfather of funk, was a cultural force who reshaped funk, soul, and R&B with unmatched energy and precision. On stage, he was explosive, disciplined, and brilliant, commanding his band with military control and electrifying audiences around the world. He was hailed as a genius, a perfectionist, a once-in-a-generation performer. But behind the spotlight, that image fractured. Offstage, his private life stood in stark contrast to the freedom and joy of his music. Dark rumors followed him for years, whispers of intimidation, coercion, and violence that quietly circulated through the industry, especially during his peak in the 1970s. The same dominance he wielded on stage was said to spill into his personal relationships, turning into fear and abuse backstage. Stories of him assaulting his wife, Adrienne Lois Rodriguez, and mistreating female staff spread unofficially, often ignored by a public unwilling to confront the truth behind the music they loved. Eventually, the rumors became undeniable. Court records revealed repeated arrests and documented incidents of domestic violence. In 1988, James Brown was convicted of assault and battery, confirming what many had long feared. The revelations didn't stop there. Legal records also pointed to sexual assault, exposing a cruel, volatile, and uncontrollable side of a legendary artist. The truth shattered his public image, transforming him into a symbol of extraordinary talent shadowed by brutality. Some analysts link his violent behavior to deep psychological scars from a childhood marked by poverty and abandonment, suggesting that violence became his way of asserting absolute power and control. In the end, James Brown left behind a towering musical legacy, but one forever stained by a trail of criminal and violent acts, a haunting reminder of the terrifying contrast between music that promised liberation and a life defined by domination and confinement. Little Richard, a preacher of salvation while wrestling with desire in the shadows. The wild architect of rock and roll stood as a blazing symbol of freedom and nonconformity in 1950s music. With explosive energy, flamboyant style, and a fearless challenge to gender norms, he thrilled audiences worldwide for daring to be unapologetically different. Yet behind the glittering image lay decades of unsettling rumors, claims of religious hypocrisy, and a deeply conflicted private life. Throughout his career, Little Richard swung between two worlds, the fiery minister warning against sin, and the untamed rock and roll star driven by desire. Whispers followed him for years, alleging that he preached against homosexuality by day while quietly maintaining same-sex relationships by night. For many in the religious community, this contradiction felt like a profound betrayal, as the man calling others to repentance appeared trapped in the very cycle he condemned. In later life interviews, the tension he carried finally surfaced. After decades of denial and concealment, Little Richard spoke with striking honesty, admitting he had lived a double life and formed relationships with men despite his public stance. The confession revealed a painful psychological battle between devout faith and overwhelming personal longing, shattering the image of moral certainty he once projected. He acknowledged that this hypocrisy grew from a desperate attempt to preserve both his ministry and his uninhibited rock star persona. In the end, those long-confirmed rumors reframed his legacy, not just as a musical pioneer, but as a man torn apart by inner conflict. Many analysts view his double life as the result of crushing social stigma surrounding homosexuality colliding with rigid religious beliefs rooted in childhood. Little Richard's story closes with an immortal musical legacy, yet one forever shadowed by the anguish of living within an unresolved contradiction. Al Green, scalded with boiling water by a lover he betrayed. Al Green, the silky, seductive soul voice that defined 1970s R&B, was one of the era's most influential artists. With his tender falsetto and aching love songs, he built an image of the ultimate romantic. But behind the velvet vocals and candlelit ballads lived a man consumed by desire, and that hidden life would explode into one of music's most disturbing tragedies. In 1974, at the absolute peak of his fame, a horrifying story rocked the entertainment world. Al Green had been burned with boiling water by his lover. The rumor alone was shocking. Fans struggled to reconcile such brutal violence with the gentle lover they adored. How could the symbol of romance be at the center of something so vicious? As the details emerged through police records in Memphis, Tennessee, the truth proved even darker than the whispers. His lover, Mary Woodson Epps, discovered that Al Green was married, or preparing to marry, another woman. The betrayal was devastating. In a moment of rage and despair, she threw a pot of boiling oatmeal onto Green, severely burning him. Then, inside his own room, she took her life with a gun. The incident left Al Green scarred not only physically, but spiritually, exposing a chaotic, dishonest private life that shattered his carefully crafted image. The burns never fully healed, and neither did the consequences. Analysts later suggested that Green's womanizing reflected a deeper struggle, an addiction to sex and a painful conflict between the religious faith he was raised in and the lust he could not control. Haunted by the tragedy, Al Green turned back to religion, eventually becoming a minister in search of redemption. His legacy now stands as a paradox: timeless, soul-stirring music etched forever alongside physical scars and spiritual wounds, a chilling reminder of the catastrophic cost of unchecked desire. B.B. King. B.B. King, the gentle king of the blues, forever linked to his beloved guitar, Lucille, carefully crafted the image of a road-worn, authentic bluesman who lived for the music. But behind that soulful sound and warm smile lingered a far more complicated reality. For decades, whispers followed him, stories of relentless womanizing and secret children scattered across America. It was rumored he had fathered at least 15 children out of wedlock. King himself once half-confessed, saying, "I loved a lot of women and left a lot of legacies." After his death, those rumors became undeniable truth. 15 individuals came forward, and the courts legally recognized them as his children. In the end, B.B. King's life revealed a stark contrast: unmatched musical genius paired with deeply flawed personal responsibility, leaving behind not only a legendary blues legacy, but a vast and tangled family history. Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday. Addiction, survival, and scandal shadowed her rise. Billie Holiday, the queen of jazz, possessed a voice so raw and soulful it turned pain into poetry. To the public, she embodied elegance, glamour, and tragic beauty. Yet behind that refined image trailed dark rumors of a reckless, broken life. Whispers claimed the mesmerizing singer battled heroin addiction from a young age and even sold her body simply to survive. The contrast was shocking. How could someone so graceful live such a brutal reality? The truth, however, was undeniable. FBI records and her own memoir, Lady Sings the Blues, confirmed multiple drug arrests and revealed that prostitution was part of her struggle to endure poverty in her youth. Billie Holiday's life stands as a haunting testament to the corruption and cruelty of the music industry, proof that fame, when mixed with addiction and exploitation, can be as merciless as it is seductive. Ike Turner. Ike Turner, a rock and roll pioneer whose name became inseparable from one of music's darkest truths. To the public, he was celebrated as Tina Turner's musical partner and mentor. Behind closed doors, however, whispers followed him, disturbing rumors of relentless physical and psychological abuse. For years, some claimed Tina had exaggerated or even invented stories of being beaten, raped, and imprisoned, accusing her of trying to ruin her husband's legacy. The world was sharply divided, unsure of what to believe. Then the truth emerged, raw and undeniable. In her memoir Tina, backed by medical records, Tina Turner revealed a life of terror, years of brutal beatings, coercion, and control. Her testimony shattered all doubt. Ike Turner was not just a flawed genius. He was an abuser who crushed his wife's body and spirit. Once the truth was confirmed, the violence eclipsed everything else, permanently staining and ultimately defining his legacy far more than his music ever could. Nina Simone. Nina Simone, the high priestess of soul, stood as a towering symbol of brilliance and political defiance. Her talent was undeniable, her performances ferocious, electrifying, and unforgettable. Yet behind the power on stage lay a private life clouded by dark whispers of mental illness and domestic violence. For years, the public dismissed her erratic behavior as the price of genius, mistaking pain for rebellion and chaos for artistic fire. The truth, however, was far more tragic. It was later confirmed by her own daughter, Lisa Simone Kelly, who revealed that Nina suffered from bipolar disorder and, during uncontrollable psychological episodes, became violent toward her. Those long-rumored stories were no longer speculation, they were heartbreakingly real. Nina Simone was not a monster, but a genius at war with her own mind. That inner torment fueled both the raw intensity that stunned audiences and the devastating turmoil that defined her private life. Sly Stone. a funk revolutionary consumed by drugs and excess. As the visionary leader of Sly and the Family Stone, he shattered musical and social boundaries, crafting a fearless, rebellious image that changed music forever. But behind the genius was a darker reality, clouded by disturbing rumors of heavy drug use and rampant group sex. The most notorious stories centered on his Beverly Hills mansion, whispered to be an open house of cocaine-fueled indulgence with no limits. These weren't just tabloid fantasies. Former band members and close witnesses later confirmed the chaos, describing a place where no one was ever sober, drugs and weapons lay everywhere, and non-stop revelry dragged on for weeks at a time. That reckless lifestyle slowly eroded his discipline, shattered his reputation, and derailed a once brilliant career. Sly Stone stands as a haunting reminder that even the greatest creative force can be devoured by addiction and unchecked excess. Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin. Pregnant at just 12 years old, and the father's identity never revealed. The Queen of Soul is celebrated as one of the greatest voices in music history, a towering diva who embodied strength, dignity, and power. Yet behind that fearless public image lay a deeply troubling chapter of a stolen childhood. For years, whispers followed Aretha Franklin, rumors that she became pregnant and gave birth while still a minor. Fans chose not to look too closely, captivated by her resilience and her voice. But family records later confirmed the truth. Aretha Franklin gave birth to her first child at age 12, and her second at 14. What remains most disturbing is that the identity of the children's father has never been publicly disclosed. This painful reality exposed the cruelty of her early life, a child forced into motherhood far too soon. That emotional weight, carried from adolescence into adulthood, helps explain the raw intensity, the fire, and the fierce sorrow that echoed through her voice. Calloway. An abandoned illegitimate child, and a lawsuit for child support. Calloway, the legendary jazz and swing icon of the 1930s and 1940s, was known for his flamboyant style, infectious energy, and the famous nickname Hi-De-Ho Man. On stage, he symbolized glamour, freedom, and extravagance. Offstage, however, a damaging rumor followed him, one that challenged his carefully polished image. Stories circulated that Calloway had fathered a child outside his marriage and then walked away, refusing to take responsibility. At the time, such behavior was seen as deeply unethical and sharply at odds with his public persona as a refined entertainer. Decades later, court records from the 1940s confirmed the truth. A woman sued Calloway for failing to provide support for his extramarital daughter. He lost the case and was legally ordered to pay child support. The confirmed rumor revealed a harsher side of the star, a brilliant performer whose pursuit of a carefree, promiscuous lifestyle came at the cost of family, loyalty, and responsibility. Billy Preston. Billy Preston. Once hailed as a musical prodigy, the brilliant keyboardist who played alongside the Beatles and the Rolling Stones earned the legendary nickname, the Fifth Beatle. His sound helped shape soul, rock, and gospel-infused pop, and his public image was warm, gentle, and deeply charismatic. But behind the genius, a dark and disturbing truth lingered. For years, whispers of child abuse followed Preston, rumors so vile they seemed impossible to reconcile with the kind-hearted figure fans adored. Then, in 1991, the unthinkable became reality. Preston was arrested in Los Angeles and later convicted of lewd conduct with a minor, along with possession of child pornography. What once seemed like unproven gossip was brutally confirmed. The revelations shattered his career and permanently stained his reputation. Billy Preston's story became a tragic downfall, proof of how immense talent can be eclipsed and ultimately erased by corruption and crime. Donny Hathaway. Donny Hathaway. A brilliant mind haunted by darkness. Possessed of one of the most profound soul voices of the 1970s, Donny Hathaway was widely regarded as a musical genius of his era. His timeless duets with Roberta Flack defined a generation and showcased a depth of emotion few artists could match. Yet behind the beauty of his music, his life was slowly unraveling. Whispers began to circulate about his deteriorating mental health, stories of terrifying voices, crushing paranoia, and the belief that unseen forces were closing in on him. Hathaway became convinced that sinister powers were conspiring against him, even within the walls of the recording studio. What many dismissed as rumor was later confirmed by doctors and family members. Donny Hathaway was battling paranoid schizophrenia. Trapped inside his own mind, isolated by fear and delusion, the struggle became unbearable. In 1979, the torment reached its tragic end when he took his own life, jumping from the 15th floor of a hotel. Donny Hathaway remains a haunting symbol of a gifted genius undone by mental illness, an extraordinary talent lost far too soon. George Clinton. George Clinton, the funk wizard who blurred the line between genius and madness. As the mastermind behind Funkadelic and Parliament, he revolutionized music with his wild sound and outrageous style. But behind the cosmic funk persona lurked disturbing rumors. Whispers spread that Clinton ruled Funkadelic like a cult, fueled by heavy LSD use and absolute control. Former members claimed the studio became a ritual space, where drugs, secrecy, and power merged. Clinton himself later confirmed parts of the legend, admitting he used LSD to commune with what he called the spirit of music, even crowning himself the supreme funk master. What once sounded like conspiracy turned into confession. His creative brilliance was inseparable from drugs and cult-like devotion. In the end, Clinton traded sobriety for sonic revolution and paid the price in controversy. Wilson Pickett. Wilson Pickett, a soul legend shadowed by violence and repeated arrests. Known as the Wicked Pickett for his ferocious stage presence and raw, electrifying voice, he embodied danger both on and off the mic. But behind the music lurked disturbing stories that refused to fade. Rumors swirled for years that Pickett assaulted women, brutalized his girlfriends, and even struck a person with his car while driving drunk. What once sounded like gossip was later confirmed by chilling police records. Pickett was arrested multiple times for violent offenses, formally charged with assaulting a lover, and in 1993 caused a serious drunk driving accident. His image transformed from fearless soul icon to a symbol of unchecked rage. Wilson Pickett's life stands as a tragic tale of talent consumed by chaos, where uncontrollable instincts ultimately destroyed his legacy. Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, a global phenomenon whose talent changed music forever, yet whose life was shadowed by obsession and pain. Crowned the king of pop, he projected an image of innocence and unmatched brilliance. But during the 1980s, his dramatic physical transformation ignited unsettling rumors that would follow him for the rest of his life. Whispers spread that Michael was obsessed with plastic surgery and had intentionally lightened his skin because he wanted to erase his black identity. The controversy exploded worldwide. Years later, the truth emerged through publicly released medical records in 1993. Michael was diagnosed with vitiligo, a condition that causes loss of skin pigmentation. At the same time, he openly acknowledged undergoing multiple cosmetic surgeries that profoundly altered his appearance. These revelations exposed the deeper tragedy behind the rumors. His illness was real, and so was his struggle with self-image. Michael Jackson's legacy remains a haunting blend of extraordinary genius and an ongoing battle with identity and acceptance. Above are some Black R&B legends surrounded by powerful rumors and lasting controversy. Which story do you find the most thought-provoking? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos.